Janie. Welcome back to the Bookworms Buddy. It is time for monthly recommendations, and monthly recommendations was created by Kayla Rain and Trina from Between Chapters, and each month we recommend books from whatever topics they choose. So it is the 1 year anniversary, and this is this is different. It's like kind of like a tag, and we're giving one book to each of all the topics we did in the past, if that makes any sense. And I tried to choose books that I don't normally recommend or that I don't think I recommended. So I hope I did well on that. It was difficult because it's always easy to go to those go-to books. So I tried to pick different ones this time that I haven't recommended before. So let's just get started. The first one is an underrated book, and I chose Maximum Ride. This is by James Patterson. This is The Angel Experiment, which is the first book in the series. I have 4 books left to read, but I think I'm going to do a reread. This is kind of teetering on middle grade to YA. I think it's a fantastic story of a group of kids. They've got different abilities. They can fly, and they beat the bad guys. It's kind of like a Spy Kid kind of story, really. And it's really enjoyable. So if you like stuff like this, I recommend this series by James Patterson. James Patterson is a very talented writer, very gifted, and it doesn't stop with his YA. This was really good. The next one is a book set in school, and for that I chose Ever After High. This is by Shannon Hale. This first book is the storybook of legends, and pretty much what the story is about is these kids have to follow in their parents' footsteps, and their parents were heroes and villains of the fairy tales. So they go to school and they learn the trade, and there's one girl who doesn't think they should follow what fate has in store for them, and it causes all kinds of things to pop up and issues, and that's all I'm going to tell you about it. But it's fantastic. This is a trilogy, but there are a lot of novellas. I probably won't read those unless they put them all together in one book, and maybe then I would pick it up and read it. But yeah, it's exciting and fun, and I think if you like fairy tales or fairy tale retellings, then you might really enjoy this series. The next one is a trilogy, and I chose the Bill Hodges trilogy by Stephen King. Book 1 is Mr. Mercedes, Book 2 is Finders Keepers, Book 3 is End of Watch. I've read these two. I still need to get End of Watch. It just came out, I think, May. It was earlier in the year. And I don't have it yet, and I need to get it so I can finish this trilogy. Fantastic. I love Bill Hodges. There is a maniac out there, and he ran over a bunch of people in a Mercedes. They were at a job fair. And the story kicks off from there. That's all I'm going to tell you. If you like Stephen King and haven't read it, I highly suggest this series. Okay, the next one, a book you think everyone should read as soon as possible before the end of the year, and I chose The Invention of Hugo Cabaret by Brian Selznick. He is so gifted, so talented. He does his own illustrations and writes the story also in text. And just the illustrations alone can tell a story. Now, I've read this one and Wonderstruck, and I still want to get Marvels and read that one, but he's so talented. And this is about a boy who works in a clock tower, and he starts to discover things, and the story goes on from there. I don't want to give anything away. And they're big books, but they're quick reads. So if you like illustrated books, then I definitely recommend this one. Okay, the next one is a fantasy. You guys know that I do not do well with fantasy. I think when I did this for the monthly recommendation for that topic, I did hard magic, I believe. But this time I decided to choose this one, The Alchemist. This is the immortal Nicholas Flamel. It's written by Michael Scott. And it is fantasy, and it is mystery, and it is just adventure and action. Nicholas Flamel has been talked about for a long time. He's in the Harry Potter series. He's talked about in there. And he's a very famous alchemist. And I was surprised that I loved this series as much as I did. I didn't own the books when I first read it. I borrowed them from my sister-in-law. and we liked it so much we bought all the books. So there are 6 books, and I really do want to do a reread on this. So I may, in this next year, I may, set one up. We'll see. The next one is a book with little to no romance. Was easy for me because I don't read romance anyway. So I chose The Devil in Grey. This is by Graham Masterton, who is the best paranormal horror writer there is, in my opinion. He is in the UK, so it's hard to get his stuff here, but I've read many of his books. You guys know I talk about Edgewise all the time. Well, I decided to talk about this one instead. He's got a lot of history and horror and paranormal in all of his books, and they're just so intriguing, and they just capture your attention so easily that you can't even put the books down. They are not, however, for the faint of heart. So, especially in Edgewise was pretty brutal, and the imagery was really spot on, and you just, yeah. So, anyway, this is one for no romance at all, The Devil in Grey. The next one we've got here is a standalone, and none of you probably ever even heard of this book. This book was first copyrighted in 1983 and is one of my favorite all-time stories ever. This is by Michael Stewart, and the book is called Monkeyshines. Look at that cover there. Pretty much what the story is about is this guy named Alan, who's an college all-star athlete, and he gets into a motorcycle accident, and he turns into a quadriplegic, and he can't even kill himself because he has no functioning extremities. He just, no motor skills whatsoever, and he's just living this miserable existence. And a friend of his tells him about this therapy with the capuchin monkey, and that would be Ella. Ella becomes so loyal to Alan that it gets scary. Things start to happen. The story takes off from there. You've got to read it to just really, I can't do it justice. You have to read the book to really feel everything. It is a horror. It is fantastic. I love it. I love this book. And I finally found it online. I checked in our used bookstore and they didn't have it. So I ended up checking online for it. There's also a movie. So the movie is pretty good too. And you guys have got to read this. You got to read it. This was written really well. Nice and scary, and it gets the pulse pounding. So yeah, Monkeyshines by Michael Stewart. The next one is your favorite survival story. And I chose this one. This is Before I Go to Sleep by S.J. Watson. And this story is about a woman who loses her memory every night, and she wakes up in a strange house with a strange man in bed with him, and that's her life. It gets to the point to where she has to start... I'm not going to tell you that. I'm not going to tell you anything about that. But anyway, yeah, she has to deal with that. It may not be your normal survival story, but it is a survival story to me, and I absolutely loved it. This is also a movie, which I also really enjoyed. I think Nicole Kidman played in that. So yeah, this one is fantastic. Next one is your favorite book, Friendship, and I had to choose Liesl and Rudy from The Book Thief. This book is by Marcus Zuzak, and I read this book pretty quickly, and I picked it up last night because I was going through this list trying to decide the books. I'm like, wow, I really want to read this book again. So in the near future, I will be reading this book again. It's beautifully written, and if you've not read it, pick it up. It's got a beautiful friendship in there. Well, more than just one beautiful friendship. And I absolutely adore this story. I think it's well told and is worthy of a reread. So, The Book Thief by Marcus Zuzak. The next one we've got here is a book set outside of the U.S., and I chose TheCuckoos Calling. This is book 1 of the Cormoran Strike series. I had a lot of mixed feelings about this trilogy. If you guys remember, I talked about it. It just seemed like it was really slow paced, the story, but the characters are just beautiful. I couldn't stop myself from reading all 3, and I've hung on to the series even though I found it to be slow. But it's just the character development is so rich, and they're so believable, and they're so relatable. It really takes up for how slow paced the story is. So I have to recommend this one. This is set out of the US. It's in the UK, I believe. And it's just the characters alone just kept me drawn to this series. So pick it up. Let me know if you do read it or if you have read it, what you thought of it. And the last one we've got here is a book with an empowering female character, and this was another easy one for me, and that would be Claire from the Outlander series. Oh my gosh, she is like every other woman should want to be. She's strong and she's got a mind of her own. Even back in her time, she was strong and had a mind of her own, and that strength just comes from the book. You just feel it oozing from the pages when you read about Claire. And these were the 4 that I read. I'm really stuck on the Fiery Cross. I put it down. I haven't picked it back up. I don't know if I want to continue the series or not, because these 4 were beautifully written. I love them all, and I don't know if I want to drag myself down trying to read the other ones, because the Fiery Cross is just really, it's a mountain. And it's just in the way to continue, and I don't want to skip one book to go to the next. So not sure what I'm going to do, but I was very happy with these 4. If you can get these 4 read, it's a perfect story. It's beautifully written. So that is all of my recommendations for this video, and I hope that you can take these recommendations to heart and pick them up and read them. And if you've read any of these books, let me know in the comments below. Also, you can find reviews for all of these on my blog. All that stuff will be down below in the description box, so check that all out. That's it for me today, guys. Thanks for staying tuned, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.